right, here's the official story of how I'm a 29-year-old divorced guy living in my parents' basement. It's just about the exact opposite story that you would think someone would tell on the internet, but here it goes. This is it's more of a therapeutic video than anything. Plus, I gotta do something because if I don't, then all I do is think about it. So here it goes. So like I said, 29. I met my ex-wife when I was in 10th grade. So I was 15 years old when I met her. And, gosh, this is crazy. This story is not going to take an hour to tell because I don't really want to sit here for an hour and tell you the whole story, but it's what you would expect. We were high school sweethearts, and we were on and off again, and, you work through it, but you're just kids at that point, so we didn't know what we were doing, and we made it work, and all the hard times following college, and, after that, we did break up, actually, a couple times, and then we were in college, and she broke up with me, and I was just a kid, so she was all I ever knew, and so I was like, sweet, boom, here's my chance to, see what's out there, and we ended up getting back together, but, this is weird. This is me just spitballing. I have no notes. My phones are here, nothing on it. I'm just spitballing. Like I said, this is therapeutic, so this is me being vulnerable, and no one's going to watch this, so it doesn't matter. This is just for me, and I'm just trying to, work through this. So, on again, off again, and we got back together when we were kind of in college, maybe after, and I moved to California. It was just on a whim. A couple of my buddies said, hey, do you want a job? And move to California. And I never really had anything going for me. I always cared so much what people think about me, and I still do. And that's why I'm not going to tell anybody that I made this video, because this is vulnerability, and it's just weird. But I always cared what people thought about me. So that kind of just prioritized my whole high school, and let's be honest, to this day, it's something I'm going to struggle with forever. And so I moved to California, and the night before I moved to California, we were in East Lansing, Michigan State, home of the old Sparties, and she was the designated driver, and what sucks is she doesn't even know this. She has zero clue about what I'm going to say. The night before I left for California, she got arrested for drunk driving, but she really wasn't drunk. But the thing she doesn't know is that me and my brother and my friends, we were doing cocaine at this party. And she never liked me smoking weed, obviously cocaine. That would just be the worst thing she could ever hear. But that's just, looking back, it's no wonder things never worked out, because we weren't honest with each other. And so I moved to California. Very weird how this works out, but the guy that I went and lived with, her sister was dating. So I moved to California, and I'm probably 19 years old, and I live with her sister and a couple of other guys, and we're selling cars. We're just wheeling and dealing. We're making decent money, but we're in California, so we're just getting by, and we're idiots, and we're spending our money on weed and cocaine. And I've been talking about cocaine a lot. You probably think that I got some problem. I did cocaine a couple times. It's not like I'm some addict. But when it comes to weed, that's a different story. But anyway, so I'm in California. She comes out and visits, and I remember so specifically this one situation that happened where, like, I think about this actually, and like it's like I have insecurities. The guy who I was working with told me that she was talking to some other guy who was working at the dealership, and that like they went out like for lunch or something. And it's just so weird that I just remembered this, but like she didn't go out with this guy, but they kept telling me, and like all the guys were messing with me and like getting under my skin. And like, yeah, dude, what do you mean? Like, where do you think Albert is? Like, this guy, he must have rolled the dice or something, because he's like, yeah, call her. I bet she doesn't answer. And so I called her, and she didn't answer. And he's like, see, dude, told you. And I called her again and again, like a psycho. And it was so much insecurity in like that one moment that, like, I look back and I think how much I depended on that relationship. And from literally being 15 years old, like, she was like everything. And instead of like building my life, I just was dependent on her and whatever life like we wanted. That's what we ended up with. But really I was just like, yeah, sure, honey, whatever you want, like happy wife, happy life, which is the worst phrase in America, in my opinion. But what do I know? And so that's just a stupid little story that maybe will give you some insight into my insecurities and maybe why we ended up divorced. And so anyway, in 2017, I proposed to her at her college graduation, and like her family was there, and I was super nervous. And how I knew I wanted to marry her was, I was living with my brother, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna save up enough money to buy a ring, and I'm gonna, once I get my life together, then I'll propose, which maybe I should have actually done that. But I just had this thought like, well, I want to be with her, so what's it matter? And I went and bought a ring, like a super cheap ring off of Facebook Marketplace from this lady, because I was like, well, we're young and, we love each other for who we are. It doesn't matter. I have no idea how she feels about that. I'm sure she probably thinks it was stupid that I bought a wedding ring off Facebook Marketplace. But that's what I did. Because I was a server. I didn't have any money. And I was going to I was like taking classes to become an EMT because I thought I wanted to be a doctor because I fucking watched Grey's Anatomy. Like, I'm such a loser. And like, this is crazy that I'm just looking at this camera and saying all this stuff, because a lot of this stuff, like, people don't even know. Anyway, so we get married, and every single person in the world, 90% of people said, oh, you're so young to be getting married. Oh, high school sweethearts, they don't work out. And we just were like, oh, we're going to be different. We have faith. We believe in Jesus, and which we did. And, she's the reason why I believe in Jesus so much and cling on to him for, like, all hope in my entire life. Like, I mean, if I didn't believe in Jesus, I don't know what I would have. But so we get married, and we live together. We lived with her mom for like the first 2 months because our apartment wasn't ready. And I'll never forget this. I can't imagine how she felt. And like looking back, like, I feel like such a loser. I remember at her mom's house, I was playing Fortnite. And it was like my 22nd birthday or something. And I like posted on Facebook, and I saw this recently about like, happy 22nd birthday to me, wouldn't rather be anywhere else. Literally of me fucking playing Fortnite. Meanwhile, she's busting her ass, working hard, 2 jobs, and I'm just over here not giving a fuck. And so we get our first apartment, and everything that I'm thinking of is like why it didn't work out is because we never were on the same page. She wanted to pay off debt because she had student loan debt. We didn't have anything other than student loan debt. I had student loan debt, and it was Dave Ramsey, gazelle intensity, pay off debt, get a second job. Nothing matters except paying off debt. And I was like, yeah, I'm on board. Let's pay debt off. But I wasn't fully on board. I was, but like I still wanted to have fun. I didn't want to spend all my time working because I don't know, like it just wasn't what I wanted, and I'm so stupid that like I didn't realize that if I just did this for her and just sacrificed a few years, then our marriage would be great. Instead, I did the opposite, and I never made any. Like I never made more money than her. She always made more money than me, and maybe that like got in between us, but it definitely got in between us. And then this was on the east side of Michigan, and then I told her one day, like, hey, I want to move to the west side of the state. Like, I want to live in Holland, like right on Lake Michigan. And she was like, okay, find a job, and sure, we'll go. And so we did. I found a job. It was a sales job, 100% commission, which was terrible. And I wasn't, like, disciplined. I didn't have good work ethic. Like, I smoked weed. Like, I'm telling you, like, it sickens me to think about, like, the person that I was. And not that, like, playing video games and, like, smoking weed here and there is, like, the end of the world, but, like, when that is, like, your go-to habit, trust me, I still deal with this. Like, I still struggle with, I'm 29. I grew up in the video game era. Like, it's just a habit ingrained in my brain. And, like, all my buddies, like, you know, whatever excuse, whatever. But, like, I didn't pursue anything. Like, I didn't pursue anything over time that would build up, you know, into something great. I wasted all my time. And I think eventually it just got to be too much. It didn't work out. So this was like the main turning point. I know this is kind of a longer video, but like I said, I don't care. No one's watching this. This is just me being vulnerable. The turning point, I feel like, was when I was working at State Farm, selling insurance. Misery, pure misery. Hated every single day. It actually pushed me further into smoking weed because I hated my job so much that all I would want to do is get off and smoke weed so I didn't have to think about it, which then I didn't want to talk to Amanda because I was high and she didn't know that I was and she didn't want me to be. So it was just like a perpetual lie that, like, no wonder we got divorced because I'm such a loser. And so when I was working at State Farm, I wanted purpose. Like, I wanted something. I wanted to work for something that, like, meant something to me. And we were going to church, and I truly, like, in my heart, like, believe so much that Jesus literally was born of a virgin and died for our sins and rose from the dead. Like, I believe that, like, so much. But the flesh is weak, right? So I just failed constantly on a freaking hourly basis. I would just fail. No repentance in me. And I wanted just to feel closer to God. I wanted to feel community. And so I applied for this leadership residency at the church where it was pretty much I would work full time at the church. And all I wanted was like support from my wife. And she was supportive. But the pay structure was I had to fundraise my salary. I had to literally go and ask people and say, hey, I'm working for the kingdom of God. Will you like support me? Will you financially support me? And the church would match whatever donations I got up to, whatever amount, $2,000 a month. So, and I had never done that. I had zero experience with like asking people to like give me money and support me. And like, I know that like God works at people's hearts. And if you ask people, they're typically willing, blah, blah, blah. But I wasn't disciplined, and I didn't know what I was doing, and I was scared of like people thinking I was just like a beggar and I didn't have a real job, and like I don't know, it was weird. But it was a huge like argument point between us because and the crazy thing is God like provided. Like there was multiple times where people did support me even though I didn't ask, and like I was doing the bare minimum and just getting by, and like that really bothered her because like I wasn't taking it seriously. And so like the money, and this is mind you, we're still paying off debt, right? So me not making any money does not support the goal that she set years prior to pay off our student loan debt and be debt free, which I wish so badly that like I would have been on board with that, but I wasn't. And I pursued my own thing, and it drew us apart. It literally drove us apart because I never supported her dream, which was literally like just pay off debt and like we'll get to the next chapter, which I mean you can break that down however you want, but like that's what she wanted. And I look back on it and think like I should have just been all in, because if that's what she wants, then like that's what I should give her. But I was selfish. And so after the first year of the residency, I had to make a decision whether to come back and do a second year of, that fundraising. But my skills, like I was learning a lot, and like I had never been closer to God in my entire life. Like I was praying with like my coworkers, and it was amazing. I have never felt closer to God in my life. And I was making this decision whether to come back or not. But money was like such a stressor. And so I decided to take a job with my friend in construction and earn more money eventually. I didn't make that much money right away. And I took this job because she woke up one day. It was her 28th birthday, June 26th. And it was her birthday, and she woke up, and I think something must have clicked, like, oh, I'm almost 30. Like, I'm 28. I'm going to be 30 soon. And she just really realized, like, that she wasn't happy. And she told me. And so I was like, yeah, 100%. Like, I hear you. I'm going to make more money. I'm going to do better to, like, make this work. We're going to pay that off, and, like, we're going to make this work. She literally said, like, I'm not happy with you. Like, I don't know if I want to be with you. So I made the change. And I, like, started going to the gym just to, like, be a better version of myself. I literally was, like, all in. I was like, every aspect of my life, like, I need to be better. But, I mean, I guess you'll have to ask her. But it seems to me that she had already made the decision. And a year went by, and a year went by of me trying and her literally not, because the decision was made. And like there there was literally like months where we like wouldn't talk other than like what's for dinner, who's gonna take the dog out, like, and we just wouldn't talk. And I slept in like the spare bedroom, and this whole time like we were going to counseling, I thought like it was gonna work out. In my head, I was like, obviously we're not getting divorced. Like we literally said we're not ever getting divorced. She told me so many times that like she saw her parents get divorced. Like her parents got divorced in high school, and she saw them go through that. And maybe she'll get mad at me if she ever sees this, and like, don't tell my business, but like, whatever, no one's gonna see this. Her parents got divorced when she was a freshman in high school, and so she saw how it ended, and she literally like our whole engagement, like, and when we were first getting married, like, I'll never get divorced. I'm never gonna get divorced. Like, I don't know what happened, but apparently, like, that turned into like definitely getting divorced because she made up her mind, and there was for literally over a year, there was nothing I could do, and she didn't trust me. And to her credit, like I wasn't worth trusting. I was flaky. I was a liar, and I probably deserved it. Now that I think about it. But anyway, that's pretty much the story without having a 30-minute video. So yeah, now what? I moved out, moved in with a friend, and like life just didn't seem real. I mean, I guess I was depressed, but like I was more like just I don't know what my life is. Like I said, I have been with her since I was 15. And so after like a couple months of living with a friend who was really a brother of a friend, yeah, he was my friend for sure. But like we weren't super close. I had only known him for a little bit. Yeah, he was a great guy. We played chess all the time. But it just like I felt like it was like a twilight zone. Like I didn't know like what my life was. And so I was like, I have to get out of here. I have to get out of the city. And so I moved up north with my parents to just reset and like at least be with people that like my family and they know me, and like so that I'm not alone going through this. And yeah, here I am, Gaylord, Michigan. Uh, it's crazy. I feel like I'm doing the right things, but I literally think about her like 20 times a day. I have probably over a million memories of her, and every day there's just constant things that like a memory will pop up, and like I'll think of her, and it sucks. And like I still am struggling with weed. Like I still like will smoke weed, and I tell myself, "Oh, I'm not smoking." I didn't smoke weed for a whole month, and I just recently smoked weed again. But anytime I stop, I have dreams of her, and like the most vivid dreams you'll ever think of, and it sucks. So I signed up for therapy. I got BetterHelp on the app, and I've got an appointment with a therapist. So, because I just like look myself in the mirror and just be like, you're not all right, bro. You need help. You've got problems. But anyway, I'm sure no one's listening, so good riddance.